All right, I think we are live, Mr. Akbar. So I want to say good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our lunchtime tea talk. Next level up conversation, level up with the Akbars. Today, our topic is finance and juveniles, and I'm just really excited to be, have this topic once again. And Mr. Akbar, here's to you and all your, wonderful things that you do for families.
To you as well,
Yeah,
Mrs. Ray.
we have liver detox tea with a little bit of fresh ginger in that. So I'm going to open up with a quote really quick. It says, wealth is the ability to fully experience life. So when you hear that, Mr. Akbar, wealth is the ability to fully experience life, what comes to mind for you?
How I appreciate, that question is truly thought provoking, and because it reinforces the whole concept about the company that I'm a part of now, who espouse the five F's: faith, family, finance, fitness, and fun, and wealth in all of those areas, not any one particular one. But I'm aspiring to be wealthy with my faith. I'm aspiring to be wealthy in my family dynamics. I'm aspiring to be wealthy financially. I'm aspiring to be wealthy in my physical self, with my fitness. And also, I want to have wealthy fun. And so, it's a conglomeration of everything about how I see the world now. And I know people associate wealth with finances. It's not necessarily that, but it includes that. And so I don't want to exclude any one of those areas, when I think and talk about what wealth is. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And I'm going to throw another one out really quick, and then you can ask me a question if you like. It says it's not about having lots of money, it's knowing how to manage it. So, for individuals that may be, struggling with finance and trying to save, what would you say in response to that?
Oh, that's another great question. That's an excellent question. And, it's just the practice of where you are, and it's like it's always been said, if you don't appreciate a little, you're not going to appreciate a lot.
Mm,
And you always have to start wherever you are. And so somehow the concept has got misconstrued throughout the ages of time, where people are always saying things like, when I get,
mm,
you see, and then there's always situations that prevent you from when I get. So it's about what you got now and how you get started there, then you'll get. Until that really resonates, with your psychic, you'll be waiting on a magic moment, a magic opportunity, a magic something that's somewhere in the distant future, and then you're going to, but you're not going to have even the discipline. That's why it's amazing, right? Because they have been always checking those lottery winners, and they always seem to bring themselves right back to where they were comfortable with.
yeah.
You see, the homeless man was homeless again. You see, the working family had to go back to work. I'm saying, what happened to millions of dollars? Well, they got people, that's going to help you spend your money on whatever level. And so if you don't have the true concept or the value or the appreciation where you are, you'll be trying to get somewhere else. And people help you do that. And before you know it, you're out of gas.
Yeah.
That's how I look at that.
Well, that's great. And Bill Gates said, it's not, if you were born poor, it's not your mistake. But if you die poor, it's your mistake. And that's by Bill Gates. So
Yeah.
what's that?
Man, I don't know where you're getting these fantastic questions from. But that's wonderful, because it's like, so just thinking about what life can provide you with. We're in the wealthiest country, but our poverty rate is as high as any other country, including the third world countries. That's crazy. But it's the responsibility of each individual. And I know we at a disadvantage. How? Because the information that we should have ready access to is not there. Just like they don't teach about how to manage your funds. Really, they teach you about a budget.
Yeah.
You got to go and work for somebody else and budget your money. And that include credit card debt and all that other stuff. But I'm talking about truly the concept of how money works. That's not the educational system. So even though it's your responsibility, right, to leave here in a better situation than you came in here, it's like, how do you do that when you don't have the information? Well, thank goodness for people like you and I who are on crusades to make aware everybody with an open ear and open heart and open mind that's willing to receive some information that can open your world up to a whole new perspective on how money works. And it's with the money that you already have. You see, and there's people working 2 and 3 jobs. I have friends right now. They working 2 and 3 jobs. Not only them, but they're in a relationship. And their wife is working 2 jobs and they working 3 jobs. And it's like, wow. And you're still struggling with your day-to-day activities when it comes to bills. And why? Because they up their grade. And so now they have 2 nice cars. You see, and you were struggling just to really pay for that one. But now so it keeps you right in the grip. Right. And even though you might have a job and even though you might have means because of the jobs that you have to make purchases on some items. Now just cut the job off. Just imagine that. Right. You worked hard to buy things and that you have to pay for. And then suddenly now cut the job off. Cut what you are so dependent on off, and you have nothing but a bunch of debt. You see, and so those are the mentalities, those are the ideas that we're trying to alleviate society from by taking total charge of what you're capable of with the right information, where you can have residual, you can have passive income, where whether you work or not, your money will be working for you. This is where I'm aspiring to be. This is where I'm hopeful that I can put other people in those positions as well. Why? Because I am providing the information. In fact, I took on a new title.
What is your title, sir?
Well, I'm here to let you know, and I'm glad you asked because this is my new brand. I am the retirement savior. Yes, that's my new brand. I am the retirement savior. And I want to help people understand that I am here to provide you with what is necessary for you to retire in a successful way.
I love that. I love that. That reminds me of just heightening individuals' awareness. So listen to this. The great Donald Trump says, money was never a big motivation for me, except as a way to keep score. The real excitement is playing the game. So when you talk about the money game, it's your relationship with money, and it's also understanding the rules of money. Because in order to be successful with money, you have to know the rules. That's the biggest piece that's missing with families is knowing what the rules are. So, there's only 3 rules that apply to money. And so, the accumulation process, the protection process, and also the distribution process. So, you want to make sure that you are in alignment with understanding how these coincide with each other so that you're not, left behind with taxes and inflation. Because see, taxes and inflation can come in and wipe out everything that you saved, tried to save. And then if your money is in the bank and it's not growing much interest, and then here comes inflation, here comes taxes, even the market downturn, now all of a sudden what you did have as a nest egg is being used up almost immediately. So it might have took 10, 15, 20 years to save it, but now just one emergency can come up, or like I said, with taxes and inflation can arise, and that can wipe out what a whole person was trying to accomplish, which was financial freedom. And, to have something set aside so when retirement comes or children get ready to go to college or just in general to have some money saved for emergencies, that can be greatly effective. So now I'm open for you to ask me any questions, Mr. Akbar, that you want.
Well, I would like to clear up my understanding anyway, in your reference to Trump being, you said the great Donald Trump. And I'm not trying to get controversial with you, but my idea about not the great Donald Trump. It's the infamous Donald Trump. So our opinions vary in that area. I don't think really he's done much anything. He's the kind of guy that does good, right, to justify all the bad. He do good in public so he can cover up all the bad he do in private. But when that manifests itself, it becomes a whole nother concept. You see, and so no, I don't go along with the great Donald Trump. So I want to make sure that was clear.
Well, I learned from Minister Louis Farrakhan years ago that even when you say the great, it could be the great Hitler. It doesn't mean that what they did was so great. But if they are world renowned, if they've impacted lives, then they're great in that aspect, not that they're a great person. So the usage of the word great can be looked at in two ways.
Cool. Well, as long as we got the concept of infamous
Right.
associated, the great infamous.
Well, I didn't want to get stuck on that part, meaning
All right.
great is, he's everybody know who he is. He's impacted lives, so he can be great in that aspect, not that he's a great person. So,
I just want to be clear, sister. That's all. Anyway, so let me ask you when it comes to juveniles and finances,
mhm.
right? Let's take a 1-year-old, fast forward to them being 25, and parents never had life insurance on them. They never had it in place for them. How would you structure the development of not only physically and emotionally and mentally, but how would you add the financial piece to that, Mrs. Akbar?
hmm So when I was a young child, my grandmother always shared with me to have a nest egg and not to put all my eggs in one basket and to save for a rainy day. So I've always been, reared with the thought process of saving is important. But then again, like, how we help change lives and help families to realize is the vehicle that you're saying that's going to make a great difference or a great impact. So when we're talking about having a college plan for juveniles or even an insurance plan, so to speak, we definitely want to educate now on what the meaning of the plan is and why is it important, and also implement the savings piece into it, because when you're trying to share with juveniles about planning for the future, one thing I learned about a lot of young people is they think they have a lot of time to save, a lot of time to prepare, a lot of time to, you know, um, I don't need to work that right now. I'm still young. But that's a real big misconception, because as we look at what someone needs to start saving at the age of 20, which is at least almost $300 a month if they want to reach $1 million when they retire, assuming that a rate of return is 8%. How many juveniles, how many young adults can actually afford to save $300 a month? So it just even heightening their awareness about, hey, do the math. Let's look at what it would take for you to get to your dreams and your goals. And that's by asking questions. What are you looking to save? What are you looking to have? Are you going to college? Are you considering becoming an entrepreneur? Do you know how much it would take to start a business? What type of business would you want to start? And then sharing with them all the dynamics that's entailed, really important in regards to building the muscle to be able to save and to know exactly what the interest rates are and where you're growing your money, how important that is as well. Because even in the piggy bank at home, it's still just what it is. And once it's spent, it's not regenerating itself. It's no longer growing. So I think having that conversation early on with juveniles, young adults, and just preparing them for, what's to come in the future. And if they have a plan to have a certain amount, what it would take to get there and what they need to do to prepare.
Cool. So generally that responsibility would fall on the responsible adult to start the earlier preparation in providing an avenue for their children to grow up on a leveling playing field, where now your primary challenge is not putting together the type of finances necessary to go to college, if that's what you prefer to do, or you don't come out of high school and now you are threatened with your ability to generate income, so you got to excel for whatever job that you have to, just to put food on, those type of things, right? When responsible parents, well, I shouldn't say that because people just don't know, but uh, adults, the ones that's in um, what is it, the guardianship of the child, that should be their duty and responsibility to make sure that that child grows up in a situation. And when you can do that by setting aside extra money that you might spend on coffee a day, $3 a day times 30, you know what it is, that can set your child up financially to have a life, man. It's just amazing how it will look, when you starting off with some other choices that you can make instead of being forced to settle for what you got. Is that making sense?
It does. And I want to say, in regards to that, I think it's also important to show young adults the cost of things, to show them the PG&E bill, show them the water bill, the garbage bill, the mortgage or the rent statement, insurances, the cost of food when they go to the grocery store. Highlight those receipts and give them to the juvenile so they can see that, things cost money. And if you want to enjoy a certain lifestyle, then you definitely want to start understanding the concept of how much these things cost on a monthly basis. So I think opposed to just, the child walks up to, opens it up and it's full and he grabs whatever he wants, show them this is what this costs. And you see how frequent, milk, for instance, we may have to go get milk 2-3 times a month. How much is that gallon of milk? And how much is it times 12? Times 30, times 3 rather, for the 3 or 4 times a month, so that they can start getting a clear picture of what things cost, so they can start to understand, okay, wow, well, what's going to happen if I don't have mom and dad or whoever is rearing me to buy these things? My grandmother used to sing to me all the time. Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child who has his own. And I realized why she was singing that to me is so I can definitely prepare to take care of myself. Because what she was saying, in other words, is don't depend on anyone to take care and provide for you. Make sure that you have things in place to provide for yourself. So I think that conversation is really important when you're having family meetings or just sitting down, educating juveniles. I think a lot of times we spend so much time on recreational things that we don't spend enough time on spirituality, meditation, learning about finance, learning how to save, learning how to plan for the future, understanding about emergencies. I think this is some of the biggest topics that should be talked to juveniles, because at some point they're going to leave the house and you want to make sure you well equipping the young individual know what to expect once they leave the nest. Because if there's no talk about it in a household, you don't want to wait up to the time 19 getting ready to go to college. Now you want to start talking about expenses and how to save and how to budget. I think that could be a devastation to juveniles that's been used to being provided for up to that point.
That's excellent point. And I want to add, when you mentioned the point of inflation, and I always think back when I bought my first home, we paid 28,500 for a 3-bedroom home.
Wow.
Now here we are. Now, what will a 3-bedroom home cost now? Let's fast forward years. You talking about $500,000.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward 40 years. Talking about now $1 million.
$1 million.
And I'm talking about minimum for a 3-bedroom home.
Yeah, and not even a real nice one. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're living in California or you're living in a state where the taxes and expenses are high. So
I stayed in an average. I bought that house in an average neighborhood. It wasn't. It was a working family's neighborhood. It was $28,500, and right now it might be going for 750,000.
Mhm.
Because it had a 2-car garage. It had, so I don't know exactly what it would be worth right now, but I know at the cost of inflation, what houses go for now, 3-bedroom homes, you know. And so I just want to add that, you
Yeah,
know, that statement that you were making about inflation. And if your money is not outpacing inflation, then you're losing money.
right. Yeah, I think all of that's important because just to understand the cost of living in general, and depending on the time period you're in, that's going to change drastically. And, just like I said, in preparation for juveniles, it's just letting them know what's ahead, teaching them ahead of time how to write checks, teaching them ahead of time how to go and open up a bank account and why they want to do that. And the whole essence behind it. I think, educating our children a lot different in regards to being an independent individual, being someone that's a productive member of society. We already give them the misconception that you go to school and you get all these student loans just to have to leave school, and now you're in debt, and now you got to go find a job. Most likely, it's not even in the field that you studied to pay off these high expensive loans. I can just see where that whole thing is so discouraging. Whereas, we don't automatically teach children, you go to school to become a business owner so that you can work for yourself and you don't have to work for anyone else. It's like that's not the in general way that we rear our children. We're sharing with them. You go to school so you can get a good job, so you can be able to provide for yourself. And then again, we're not telling them about taxes, and we're not talking about inflation and how to save, on a monthly basis so you can reach your goals at retirement. We just don't start out sharing that with them, and we're kind of setting them up for failure, so to speak. That's why I believe the suicide rate is really high. Schizophrenia, depression, anxiety, stress, all of that is at an all-time high, is because now all of a sudden you're 18, 19, time for you to go move, live on your own, and you not have the skills to do it. You might know how to wash clothes, iron clothes, make yourself something to eat, clean the house. Okay, but what about how you provide for that home? That's a big deal.
It's a big deal. Yeah, absolutely. It's huge. So are we getting closer to the time that we're going to be ending? But I wanted to stay, with the conversation as you were talking about juveniles growing up, and 25 years into the future, when they get to age 25, how would you prefer the concepts about money in the traditional way, housing, banking system, and
You froze.
you hear me?
Yeah, you froze for a minute. Um, can you repeat that because you froze?
Well, I was talking about the traditional way that we do financial business with the banks, other loan institutions. You know, what if the 25-year-old now had been educated about how money actually can increase your wealth, your
Okay.
financial wealth? Can you speak a little bit about that in the few minutes that we have left?
I definitely can. So I'm just gonna, I've been pulling up a lot of quotes today because I think they're really significant. This quote says, "The best thing money can buy is financial freedom," by Bob Berger. So that's again, here's the concept of being financially free. And another quote says, "Being rich is having money, being wealthy is having time." That's what I was sharing when I did a little blurb before about the misconception we have in regards to working 2 3 jobs just to try to make ends meet and to try to get a savings, something set to the side. But the reality is we should be working smarter and not harder, and we should also be working less time, you having your money work for you, so to speak, while you sleep. So these are the things that we have to share with our young individuals, our youth, and say, you've got to tell your money what to do or it will leave. And that's by Dave Ramsey. So tell your money, hey, I need you to grow. I need you to, be protected. I have guarantees on it, and I need it to grow at the highest interest rate possible. I don't need to just stuff it in the bank where it's just sitting, but it's not working for me. And once I use it, it's gone. It's not regenerating itself. So I pose questions to juveniles, especially our youth today. They're very insightful, very intuitive because of the internet. They're very savvy in regards to learning how to get a answer. But what's your answer in regards to being financially free? What's your answer in being able to grow your money so that it's lasting you a lifetime? And these questions I think is important so you can just get their minds to start to think, yeah, how can I do this? And then that way they'll start asking more questions. Because what I learned with juveniles, they don't want to be talked at. They want to be talked with, they want to be a part of the conversation. So I think it's important just to ask the questions to see where they're even at with the thought process of fun, of money, of generational wealth, of legacy building. What does it mean to you? So then you can hear where they're at and then, offer some recommendations.
Wow, that was profound. But it's so simple.
It is.
Isn't it amazing now how what's so simplistic now is considered profound? The world is more complicated than it's been.
Froze again.
There you are. Am
Yeah.
I back?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Am I back? Sister Love, you froze. Well, folks, it's about time for the show to end anyway. And we just want you guys to say, or we want to say to you guys, we appreciate you for leveling up with the Akbars. We appreciate you for allowing us to come into your space just to share some concepts with you about some of the ways that finance can help you, because we work pretty hard for our money, and it only seems fair, it only seems right, it only seems proper that our money work hard for us as we do for it. So that's not a bad idea. It's a fair exchange. I work 2 jobs for you, money. Where should I have my money where it's going to work around the clock for me? Doesn't that make sense? You guys look us up. We're going to have a conversation, leveling up with the Akbars. So we want to thank you guys for tuning in every Wednesday at 12:30. And we just like to say, have a blessed day. We are so honored to be in your presence, to enjoy your space with you. I notice my beautiful wife has just come back.
Definitely am. And thank you. And you all have a wonderful day. Tune in next week where our topic will be fitness. We're going to be talking about getting fit internally. Thank you. Have a great day.